Hey y'all. So plenty of you have probably seen or heard of the Professor Oak challenge. However, if you haven't, it's a Pokemon challenge where your goal is to get every Pokedex entry before each gym. The game I'll be doing this for is Pokemon Tower Defense, a Pokemon Flash game where you defend from Pokemon using your own Pokemon in a tower defense format. For this challenge, I've decided to bend the rules of a traditional Professor Oak challenge a slight bit. The first rule is that you must obtain every Pokemon in each chapter before moving on to the next. This can be really challenging for some chapters and really easy for others. The second rule is that only one version, either red or blue, can be used. You get this choice right at the beginning and it dictates which Pokemon you are able to find. For this playthrough, I went with red version. The third rule is that no glitches or exploits are allowed. There aren't any that I know of, but the rule stands all the same. The fourth and final rule is that the Pokemon Center website, a site attached to Pokemon Tower Defense that gives you a bunch of options, cannot be used for trading, but can be used for the Game Corner and Daily Gift. With all that said, let's get started. On starting the game, we meet Professor Oak, who gives us our first Pokemon. This first choice is crucial as it will dramatically affect the first portion of the game. Both Squirtle and Charmander evolve to their final forms at level 36, while Bulbasaur evolves into Venusaur at level 32, so I pick Bulbasaur. I'll count that up in just a moment. We then see some rocket grunts plotting evil. I'm sure they won't be a problem. Oak asks us which version we want to play, to which I promptly say red. The lab is then invaded by a horde of Rattata, one of which we catch. Still not upping the total yet, just a sec. After we're done with that, I pop over to the challenge mode section to pick up a few items, those being the Old Rod and the Pokedex. The Old Rod will allow us to catch Magikarp later, and the Pokedex lets us add Bulbasaur and Rattata, bringing our total to 2. Then venturing to Route 1, I managed to find a Pidgey, which gets us 3 Pokemon. On Route 2, we catch a Weedle. Caterpie is technically version exclusive on this route, but we can find it in Viridian Forest, so it's no big deal. While looking for the Viridian Forest Pokemon, my Weedle evolves into Kakuna. After that, I snag myself Caterpie and Pikachu. That's all the catchable Pokemon for this section, so now it's time to level them up and evolve them. First up are the bugs, Caterpie and Kakuna. I opted to train both of them at the same time, since their moves before they evolve are pretty lackluster. It took me 3 minutes to evolve Caterpie into Metapod, and then into Butterfree, and evolve Kakuna into Beedrill. Next up is Rattata. Rattata gets some decent moves before it evolves, but nothing spectacular. It took me 20 minutes to evolve Rattata into Raticate. Now we've got the 3 issue Pokemon, Bulbasaur, Pidgey, and Pikachu. Pikachu's main issue is that it evolves with an evolution stone, which each costs 10,000 Pokédollars. There's only an issue now because that amount of money is tough to procure in the early game. Bulbasaur and Pidgey are both tough because they both evolve above level 30. I decided to go with Bulbasaur first because it evolves at a lower level. After 2 hours, I evolved Bulbasaur to Ivysaur, and then Ivysaur to Venusaur. Also, while I was training Ivysaur, I managed to scrounge up those 10,000 Pokédollars, buy myself a Thunderstone, and evolve Pikachu into Raichu. Another thing that happened while training Ivysaur was that I found a shiny Rattata. Now, I'm going to do something a bit out of place for Professor Oak's challenges. I'm going to add a shiny counter along with the dex counter since shiny Pokemon come far easier in this game than in most of the main series games. Now, shinies won't count towards the dex total, but I would like to recap them at the end. Right now, we're at 1. The final Pokemon is Pidgey. Pidgey evolves into Pidgeot at level 36, and this combined with the low level wild Pokemon makes this the longest level up evolution in the entire game. But after 3.5 hours, Pidgey evolved into Pidgeotto, and then into Pidgeot. This brings our dex total to 16, and the max amount for this section. I then challenged Brock in all his ground and rock types that stood no chance against my mighty grass dinosaur, and we move on to chapter 2. We first go to Route 3 where I can catch a whole slew of Pokemon. Here I catch Spearow, Mankey, Nidoran male, Jigglypuff, and Nidoran female. In Viridian Forest 2, I only need to catch 1 Pokemon, that being Paris. Mount Moon 1 gives us a couple more to our total. Here I get Geodude and Zubat. In Mount Moon 2, I catch Oddish, Growlithe, and Poliwag. We'll stop back by here in a bit. The final area for catching Pokemon is Cerulean Gym. I catch Magikarp and Abra after many tries. But we're not quite done with catching yet, because I had forgot a couple. I go back to Route 3 and pick up a Spearow, back to Mount Moon 2 for a Poliwag, and back to Cerulean Gym for an Abra. All 3 will be used for trades a bit later. This Abra, by the way, took even longer to find than the first one. I also catch Clefairy in Mount Moon 2, which I just straight up forgot to get earlier. With that, we have all the catchable Pokemon for Chapter 2. Time to evolve them all. Since there are quite a few more level up evolutions this time around, I'll just list them off real quickly. I evolved Spearow to Fearow after 9 minutes, both Nidorans to Nidorino and Nidorina after 7 minutes, Zubat to Golbat after 14 minutes, Oddish to Gloom after 11 minutes, Paris to Parasect after 21 minutes, Mankey to Primeape after 28 minutes, both Poliwags to Poliwhirl after 30 minutes, Abra to Kadabra after 3 minutes, Geodude to Graveler after 15 minutes, and Magikarp to Gyarados after 15 minutes. This brings us to a total of 41 Pokemon. We also can't get Golem or Alakazam, as trading is not permitted, or Bellsprout, Weepinbell, Victreebel, Vulpix, and Ninetales, as they are version exclusive to Blue. While leveling all these up, I managed to get 3 shinies, those being Pidgey, Mankey, and Beedrill. With 70,000 Pokédollars on hand, I was able to buy all the evolution stones I needed, those being 4 Moonstones, 1 Firestone, 1 Water Stone, and 1 Leaf Stone. With these, I could evolve Nidorino to Nidoking, Nidorina to Nidoqueen, Clefairy to Clefable, Jigglypuff to Wigglytuff, Gloom to Vileplume, Growlithe to Arcanine, and Poliwhirl to Poliwrath. This brings us to 48 Pokemon, and 1 short of the max for this section. The last one we need is Jinx, which can be gotten at the end of Cerulean Gym. All you need to do is bring a Poliwhirl into the level, place it on a tile at least once, don't skip the dialogue at the end of the level, and you'll be prompted to trade the Poliwhirl for this old man's Jinx. Get used to seeing this old man, you'll be seeing him quite a bit. With Jinx, we are now at 49 Pokemon and the max amount for this section. We can now go into Cerulean Gym 2 and destroy Misty's Kyogre to end this chapter. In Chapter 3, the first place we must go is Route 24, otherwise known as the Nugget Bridge. This one's not too bad, we just have to beat 5 trainers back to back. Oh, I guess I should touch up on the story real quick. So there's this clone of Mewtwo called Mew3, which is basically just shiny Mewtwo without the sparkles. Mew3 took control of Misty and Kyogre, and we essentially break them free of Mew3's control in this level. Mew3 then appears to you, Joey, and Maruto, who you meet on Route 1 and Cerulean Gym respectively. At this moment, Ash, not Red, tries defeating Mew3 but ends up getting self-destructed. Alright, all caught up? Cool, let's move on. So, after beating Route 24, we are treated to Bill, dressed up as Kabuto, and reluctantly willing to give us 3 tickets aboard the SS Anne. We then come to Route 5, where surprisingly, we only have to catch 1 Pokemon, so we can catch Meowth and move on. In Vermilion City, Maruto and Joey decide to battle, where Joey gets brutally countered. Wait, where did he even get a Charmeleon? I thought all he had was Pidgeotto and Raticate. Anyhow, they then get interrupted by a couple of Rocket Grunts, who then call 13 friends to their aid. For this level, I would definitely recommend that you look up the order of the waves so you can know what comes next. Also, this is another trade level, so I bring that Spearow I caught earlier into the level, place it down once, play through to the end of the level, and the old man returns to trade me a Farfetch'd. There's still 1 more Pokemon to catch, but since it's in Vermilion Gym, I decided to evolve Meowth. After 4 minutes, I evolved Meowth into Persian. While training for the Vermilion Gym, I managed to find 2 shinies, those being a shiny Pidgey and a shiny Pidgey. Great. Oh, also, the rest of my footage for this section corrupted or something, and the video froze. So, I'll just give you a rundown of what happened in the rest of this section while you look at this Poliwag. Upon going into Vermilion Gym, I caught Ekans. Sandshrew and Sandslash aren't available, as they are version exclusive to Blue. After, I kid you not, 15 seconds, I evolved Ekans into Arbok. With this, we have 54 Pokemon and the max for this section. Don't worry, none of the other footage randomly froze for whatever reason. At the start of Chapter 4, we leave off right after the Vermilion Gym battle. Jesse, James, and Brock run off to Diglett's Cave, and we have to chase them there. In Diglett's Cave, there are only 2 Pokemon we need to catch. Here we get Diglett and Drowsy. After the battle, we pick up the hidden machine, Cut. This opens up a couple of things. With Cut, we can return to Route 2 in Chapter 1, and cut down the small tree there. If we come here with an Abra and place it on one of the tiles, we will be prompted to trade it to the old man for his Mr. Mime. If we do this again, but this time without an Abra, Professor Oak will instead come from behind this tree and give us the HM for Flash, and that allows us to access Rock Tunnel. After entering Rock Tunnel, we can find a couple more Pokemon hiding in here. These Pokemon include Voltorb, Onix, and Machop. After escaping Rock Tunnel, we find Joey, who hadn't been taken over by Mew3 on the SS Anne, and he brings us down to Lavender Town, where Giovanni is recruiting people for Team Rocket against Mew3. Upon pummeling all 24 of his Persians, we are welcomed into Team Rocket. This actually opens up another few Pokemon we can get. When you are recruited to Team Rocket, you gain access to the Game Corner on the Pokemon Center website. Since I did disclose that this was allowed at the beginning of the video, we can get all the Game Corner Pokemon. With my winnings from the Game Corner, I was only able to get Dratini at first, but we'll come back to this in a second. I then move on to Route 8, where I catch 3 Eevees, as well as another shiny Pidgey. That's all the catchable Pokemon, but I remembered that the daily gift feature was also permitted, so with that I was able to get enough casino coins to buy the rest of the Game Corner Pokemon. I got Pinsir, Scyther, and Porygon. I then go to spend 30,000 Pokédollars on 1 Thunderstone, 1 Waterstone, and 1 Firestone. With these, I could evolve Eevee into Flareon, Eevee into Jolteon, and Eevee into Vaporeon. After that, it's time to level up the catches. All of these Pokemon took, at most, 10 levels to evolve, except Dratini, so they didn't take long. I evolved Diglett into Dugtrio after 3 minutes, Machop into Machoke after 3 minutes, Drowsy to Hypno after 2 minutes, and Voltorb to Electrode after 4 minutes. We're not allowed to trade, so we can't get Machamp. The last one is Dratini. Dratini is the first semi-difficult evolution we've had since Section 1. This is because you have to take it from level 1 to level 55. But it can learn a lot of good moves from TM. Anyhow, after 1 hour and 17 minutes, I evolved Dratini into Dragonair and then into Dragonite. This gives us 74 Pokemon and the max for this section. We then enter Celadon City, where we find Celebi. Celebi tells us that it just came back from the future and wants to help us fight itself. I then roast all of Erica's Pokemon, avoid present Celebi's solar beams, and claim myself the Rainbow. On starting Chapter 5, we first go to the Rocket Hideout. There are no catchable Pokemon here, but we do find Bruno, and his Hitmonlee kicks Joey through the door of the game corner. Joey hits a poster on the wall and opens a secret stairway. We then find Sam, the creator of Pokemon Tower Defense, and he's here to train our Pokemon and give us Silph Scopes. So we battle Sam and all his shinies and lose. Don't worry, you can't actually lose this level. Even if Sam's shinies get all the candies, you still complete the level. Sam also gives us the upgrade of Super Potions, and we return to Lavender Town. We then go into Poké Tower 1, where we catch Ghastly and Cubone. In Poké Tower 2, we find an unconscious Maruto, as well as a giant Snorlax getting tormented by ghosts. There is a catchable Pokemon here, but it's a little tough to get. First off, I would recommend getting the Fearow from earlier to learn Mirror Move. The boss Snorlax that comes from the right only uses Yawn, so if you have Fearow use Mirror Move, that Snorlax will become unable to move, and you can focus on the left. A bunch of boss Ghastlies, Haunters, Gengars, Cubones, and Marowaks come from the left, but there's also a small chance that a catchable Snorlax can come from the left. This is the only catchable Pokemon here, so after several run-throughs of the level, I catch Snorlax. After we're done with that, a Rocket Grunt tells us that we should go to Route 12. On Route 12, we can catch a couple aquatic critters. Here we get Krabby, Goldeen, Tentacool, and Lapras. Bear in mind that Lapras is about as rare as Snorlax was, so it might take a bit to find. That's all the catches for this section, so now it's time to evolve them all. The benefit with all these Pokemon is that you find them at level 40, and they all evolve below level 40, so each only takes 1 level to evolve. After 5 total minutes between all of them, I evolved Tentacool into Tentacruel, Ghastly into Haunter, Krabby into Kingler, Cubone into Marowak, and Goldeen into Seaking. We can't trade, so no Gengar. This gives us 86 Pokemon and the max for this section. We then enter Saffron City, run into a wall of ghosts, Joey gets taken away, same old same old. But we then find Jesse and James's Meowth. Meowth tells us that we need to find help from Maruto. Maruto then reveals that he is actually Sabrina in disguise, and we have to fight her. Also, while training up for this level, I found another shiny Mankey. Now, do I have some words to say about this level? This level is my worst enemy. There's so much that makes this level a living nightmare. Allow me to elaborate. You've got Alakazam, who is incredibly fast and powerful, Venomoth, who is the only Pokemon in the level not weak to Dark, Slowbro, who is incredibly tanky, Mr. Mime, who is also incredibly fast, Ghastly and Haunter, who use Destiny Bond to instantly KO any of your Pokemon who take it out after it uses it, and to top it all off, Mewtwo at the end, who is basically all the things I described above. I don't think I have to go into detail about why Mewtwo sucks to fight. To beat this level, I had to grind for several hours, rework my team a couple of times, and was forced to lose the level even though Mewtwo was the only one left on the field. If you decide to play this game, I ask that you please play through the game normally first so that you are allowed to use Pokemon like Alakazam, Gengar, and Golem. It will make your life so much easier. Anyhow, after all my pain and suffering, I finally beat Sabrina and was able to move on to Chapter 6. After freeing Sabrina, we head to the Saffron Dojo, where we have to get past Joey, Lieutenant Surge, Bruno, and Sabrina's Pokemon. On completing this, we get a choice between Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. I pick Hitmonchan, which means Hitmonlee will not be available. We then go to Route 15, where we can catch a couple more Pokemon. Here we get Ditto and Venonat. On completing this level, the old man gives us a Super Rod, which means we can get a few more Pokemon from earlier levels. If we return to Cerulean Gym, we can get Psyduck, and if we return to Vermilion City, we can get Shelter. The next level is Fuchsia Gym. Now this level is interesting because you are best off using Poison or Steel types, as Gym Leader Janine uses 2 giant mucks that can instantly KO any Pokemon not immune to being poisoned. For this gym, I decided to evolve Venonat into Venomoth early. Then, with my team full of poison types, I beat Janine and was able to continue to the Safari Zone. The Safari Zone is a unique level because, like most Safari Zones in the main series Pokemon games, you can't use any of your Pokemon. Instead, Joey will throw rocks or bait at the Pokemon to deal damage or slow them down. This makes some of the catches really difficult, but let's go through them real quick. I catch Execute, Chansey, Rhyhorn, 2 Slowpokes, Doduo, Kangaskhan, and Tauros. We catch 2 Slowpokes for a trade later. This is all of the catches for this section, so now it's time to evolve them. I first buy a Water Stone and a Leaf Stone. This allows me to evolve Shelter into Cloyster and Execute into Exeggutor. I then evolve all of the level up Pokemon. I evolve Psyduck into Golduck after 4 minutes, Slowpoke to Slowbro after 5 minutes, Doduo into Dodrio after 2 minutes, and Rhyhorn into Rhydon after 9 minutes. This gives us 105 Pokemon and the max for this section. Also, while leveling up Rhyhorn, I found a shiny Pidgeotto. I mean, hey, at least it's not another Pidgey. We then move on to Route 17, where we find Gary talking to Zapdos, and we have to fight Zapdos. After training up a team of Ice and Rock types, I beat Zapdos and can move on to Chapter 7. On starting Chapter 7, we first go to Route 19. Most of the Pokemon here we've seen before, but we are able to catch Staryu and Horsey. We then come to Cinnabar Island, where there are several Pokemon to find. Here we get Ponyta, Coughing, Grimer, Weezing, and Muck. Magmar is a version exclusive for Blue, so we can't get it. We also get a choice between Kabuto and Ammonite on beating the level. I picked Kabuto, which means that Ammonite and Amistar will not be available. There is one more Pokemon to get here, but it's pretty challenging, so I'll get back to that. Cinnabar Gym requires a bit of preparation, as it is a fairly difficult stage, so I decided to buy a Water Stone and evolve Staryu into Starmie. I also evolve Kabuto into Kabutops. Also, while leveling up a team of water types for Cinnabar Gym, I found a shiny Pidgeot. Why do I keep finding shinies from the Pidgey line? I don't want any more. Oh, and I found a shiny Goldeen as well after changing my team up a bit. After a lot of efforts and using 6 Gyarados, I was eventually able to beat Moltres and Entei. Where Blaine got Entei, I'm not sure, but on beating the level, Blaine gives us a choice between shiny Kabuto and shiny Ammonite. I pick Ammonite, but remember that this doesn't count towards the Dex total, just the shiny total. Blaine gives us the Volcano Badge and we return to Pallet Town. We only need to catch one Pokemon here, that being Tangela. I also found a few shinies here. I found a shiny Magikarp, a shiny Tangela, and a shiny Tentacool. I then return and beat Cinnabar Island again, this time without losing any candy, and I get Aerodactyl. This is the only way to get a normal Aerodactyl in this game, so this is something that needs to be done. I then decide to evolve my catches. Only 2 need to evolve at this point. So I evolve Horsey into Seadra after 4 minutes and Ponyta to Rapidash after 5 minutes. That's not quite all for this section, as there's a trade right at the end, but first we've got one more level to get through. We return to Viridian City to find Gary being brought there by Zapdos. Mew3 confronts him and brings Groudon, who he forces Gary to fuse with, whatever that does. Now, I don't honestly know how I beat this level. All the Pokemon you face are above level 100, and my Pokemon's levels peaked out at just below 90. I think I won by a complete fluke, where I somehow got it down to just Gary's Blastoise and my Gyarados. My Gyarados knew rest, and his Blastoise had to get 5 candies back single-handedly. So I basically just outlasted his Blastoise and claimed victory. Fine by me. With that done, I evolved the second Slowpoke from earlier into Slowbro. I then entered Viridian Ending level. Gary gives us the Earth Badge, as well as the HM's Fly, Surf, and Strength, and some Max Potions. Brock, Jesse, and James also break free from Mew3's control. Everyone leaves, and we are left with just the old man. He offers to trade the Slowbro we have for Lickitung. This gives us 120 Pokemon, and the max for this section. With all that done, we can visit the locations of the 3 legendary birds, the Power Plant, Seafoam Islands, and Victory Road. We go to the Power Plant first and find Zapdos. I'll go over how we'll get the birds in just a bit, but first we have to catch a few Pokemon in the Power Plant. Here we get Magneton, Magnemite, and the version-exclusive Electabuzz. Next up is Seafoam Islands. Outside we find Articuno, once again not able to get one yet, and inside we find Seal. Dugong can also be found here, but I was having no luck finding one, so I just decided to take 5 minutes to evolve Seal into Dugong. We go to Victory Road and find Moltres awaiting us there, but there are no new catchable Pokemon in here, so that's all of the non-legendary Pokemon available. Now, for the birds. Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres each require that you get a full team of 6 level 100 Pokemon of their primary type. 6 ice types for Articuno, 6 electric types for Zapdos, and 6 fire types for Moltres. I would recommend grabbing the ice types from Seafoam Islands, the electric types from the Power Plant, and the fire types from Cinnabar Island. Anyways, after a pretty obscene amount of grinding comparatively to other grinds in this run, I got my 18 level 100 Pokemon and brought them to their respective locations. After beating the boss Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, I got myself a baby version of each one. I also found a pretty big load of shinies, including Marowak, Shellder, Seel, Dratini, Slowpoke, Seel again, Shellder again, Pinsir, Seel again, Porygon, Magnemite, and Voltorb. I'm deciding to count the Game Corner shinies despite the fact that I went deliberately out of my way to get them. There are only 2 Pokemon left and both are in the final level. Now, a little issue with the first Pokemon Tower Defense is that when you defeat the Elite Four, you get a black screen. There is a fix for this on the Pokemon Center website, and it automatically unlocks the champion level. Because of this, I don't have to fight the Elite Four, but I decided to give it a shot anyway and lost to Lorelei. So, I finally arrived in the champion room, ready for the final, most difficult battle against Champion Ash Ketchum. Just kidding, this fight is easy. Why is Ash's team so bad? His only viable Pokemon is Pidgeot, and even that's a stretch. Let me explain. Both his Snorlax and his Primeape are incapable of hitting ghost types, neither his Squirtle or his Bulbasaur have evolved even once, and his Charizard, his ace, is not only 4 times weak to rock, but its flamethrower hurts itself. Anyhow, after a very anticlimactic final battle, Joey bursts in with Ash's Pikachu and breaks Ash free from Mew3's control. Mew3 then appears before us, ready to destroy us all, before Mew appears and convinces Mew3 that he shouldn't do evil anymore. Joey and Ash then sing the Poke Rap, and we are kicked back out to the menu. We've only got 1 level left, the Unknown Dungeon. We've only got 2 left, Mewtwo and Mew, so after many failed attempts where they slipped through my grasp, I can add Mewtwo and Mew. This brings our total to 130 Pokemon, and the maximum amount for one playthrough of Pokemon Tower Defense Red version. With that, let's go to the statistics. So, unlike the mainline Pokemon games, Pokemon Tower Defense doesn't track in-game time. So, I instead decided to add up the total time for all of the evolution level grinding, which comes out to 10 hours and 35 minutes, which compared to the main series games as Professor Oak challenges, is incredibly short. That, of course, doesn't include grinding for certain levels like Cinnabar Gym or Saffron City, but that's how long it took me to level grind all of the level up evolution Pokemon. We got a total of 130 Pokemon, which leaves 21 that we couldn't obtain. These Pokemon include the other starter lines, the version exclusives for Blue, the trade evolutions, the other dojo Pokemon, and the other fossil line. As far as filling out the dex goes, it's not too shabby. By the end of the game, we obtained a total of 28 shinies, which is pretty crazy. Total, we got 1 Beedrill, 4 Pidgeys, 1 Pidgeotto, 1 Pidgeot, 1 Rattata, 2 Mankeys, 1 Tentacool, 2 Slowpokes, 1 Magnemite, 3 Seals, 2 Shelders, 1 Voltorb, 1 Marowak, 1 Tangela, 1 Goldeen, 1 Pinsir, 1 Magikarp, 1 Porygon, 1 Ammonite, and 1 Dratini. That's a lot of sparkles. And one final note before I go. I want to give a huge thanks to Johnstone for bringing the whole genre of the Professor Oak challenge into the spotlight. I don't think I would have ever found out about this challenge if not for him, so if you're watching, thanks for doing what you do. And a thank you to you all watching. This video was a long time in the works, so I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. Anyhow, that's all I've got to say. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you all next time. Peace.